I think now we will have maybe the most important conversation from many points of view. You know that in the program it was marked as a secret guest. It's time to reveal the secrets. So I'm very much honored to invite to this stage His Royal Highness, Prince of Iran, Mr. Reza Pahlavi.
Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, colleagues, and friends. There is something fitting about delivering these remarks here in Odessa, a city that has looked into the face of foreign aggression and refused to blink. A city that knows what it means to defend not just territory, but liberty. I stand before you with the deepest admiration for the Ukrainian people and with a kinship that is not just diplomatic. It is forged in a shared understanding of what it costs to resist those who believe that might supersedes the will of a free people. I come to you at a moment of great consequences. Iran has endured a year of fire. More than 40,000 of my compatriots were slaughtered in the dark. Unarmed men and women who took to the streets in January, demanding nothing more than the right to choose their own future. They were met with bullets, with mass arrests, with an internet blackout designed to ensure the world would not see what was being done to them. My country has been struck from every direction, by the regime from within, and by the consequences of the regime's own recklessness from without. And yet, the Islamic Republic still stands. Some in this room may interpret that as a sign of the regime's resilience. I am here to tell you it is not. It is a sign of the world's failure to draw the right conclusions from what it is watching. It is a sign that the free world has not yet understood what it is truly fighting or what it stands to gain from that fight when that fight is won. That is what I have come to Odessa to say. Let me begin what you should by now be beyond dispute. The drones darkening the skies of Ukrainian cities are built by the same factories, funded by the same regime that deployed drone surveillance over Tehran's streets to hunt down protesters in the dark. They fed coordinates to snipers and arrest squads operating under an internet blackout they themselves imposed. The same drones have been deployed to armed regime proxies across the Middle East. The Shahed drone does not distinguish between a residential block in Kharkiv, a protest square in Tehran, or commercial offices in Dubai. It serves the same masters and advances the same agenda: the destruction of any sovereign people's right to determine their own future. Tehran and Moscow are not merely aligned. They are not merely convenient partners of the moment. They are co-architects of chaos, a doctrine that the rules-based international order is a Western imposition to be dismantled, that borders are suggestions, that sovereignty belongs to the powerful, no matter how wicked, and not to the people, no matter how righteous. That democracies are inherently weak and can be made to yield. This is not a new axis. The Islamic Republic has been waging its version of this war for 47 years against the Iranian people. First against them, then against its neighbors, then against any order that constrained it. Russia has been waging its version for decades against its own Democrats, against Georgia, and jointly with the Islamic Republic against Syria and the Ukraine. What has changed is that they are no longer doing so in parallel. They are doing so together, coordinated, emboldened. They have been watching very carefully to see whether the free world will respond with the seriousness this moment demands. Make no mistake, they are watching your response to Ukraine's invasion to calculate their next move in Iran. And they are watching your response to Iran to calculate their next move here. I want to speak directly about something that has troubled me in the years I have spent engaging with governments and security establishments across the democratic world. There is a persistent temptation, understandable, human, but ultimately catastrophic and self-defeating, to seek a deal with despots, to find a way to manage them, to appease them, to sign an agreement, ease a sanction, extend a hand, in the hope that a marginal concession would purchase stability. A rabid dog knows only to bite the friendly hand. I understand the appeal. Democracies are accountable to their people. They want results. They want to come home from the negotiating table with something to show. A piece of paper that can be brandished as peace in our time. They want the conflict to be over, the threat to be contained, the problem to be solved, so they can move on, even if only for the duration of their mandate. But let me draw on 47 years of watching the Islamic Republic negotiate with the West, with its neighbors, with the international bodies, and tell you what I have seen. Tehran and Moscow play the same rules. The Gromyko rule you are all too familiar with. Begin by dragging things out until your adversaries wear themselves down. Then put forward hardline demands you know they won't accept. Next, hold them responsible for the deadlock. And finally, use the delay to consolidate and improve your position on the ground. Every agreement has bought time for the regime, not for the people and not for the free world. Every sanctioned relief has funded not schools or hospitals, but the Revolutionary Guard, proxy armies, and the drone factories whose products now circle the city. Every handshake extended to its representatives was a photo op the regime used at home to prove that the world accepted it and used abroad to prove the other rogue actors that patience and persistence in the face of international pressure yields dividends. The Iranian people who have suffered under this calculation for nearly 5 decades have a message for you. They paid the price for every deal the world made with their oppressors. They asked that you not make them pay for the next one. Patient engagement with tyrants does not produce peace. It produces better armed tyrants and more exhausted people. Never trust the world of tyrants. History has recorded this lesson repeatedly. It was true of every accommodation made with the Soviet Union that simply delayed rather than resolve the confrontation. It was true of every concession made to the Islamic Republic that simply rebuilt with maximum pressure had dismantled. Only democracies build lasting peace because only democracies are answerable to the people who bear the cost of war. Despots are not answerable to no one. And that is precisely why no agreement with them is ever final. I want to say something now that I believe this forum is uniquely positioned to hear. A free and democratic Iran is not merely an Iranian interest. It is one of the most consequential strategic opportunities available to the free world in this generation. Consider what changes the day the Islamic Republic falls. The principal financier and arms supplier of Hamas, of Hezbollah, of the Houthis, of the militias destabilizing Iraq and Syria is gone. The regime that has supplied Russia with the drones currently threatening this city is gone. The military nuclear program developed for coercion is terminated. The engine of Islamic extremism that has spent nearly 5 decades exporting instability across 3 continents is disassembled. The Strait of Hormuz is not used to hold the world economy hostage, but to facilitate international commerce and cooperation. And in its place, a nation of 90 million people, educated, entrepreneurial, historically moderate, and geopolitically significant, rejoins the community of nations. Iran sits at the intersection of the Caspian, the Persian Gulf, and Central Asia. A democratic Iran anchored in the free world does not merely remove a threat. It creates a peace dividend of historic proportions for Europe, for the Black Sea region, for the Middle East, and the rest of the world. Ukraine and Iran are fighting different battles on different soils, but we are fighting the same war. We are fighting for the principle that sovereignty lies with the people, that borders are not negotiable, that the international order is not merely a suggestion, that the strong do not have the right to devour the weak. A democratic Ukraine that endures is a beacon for every people subject to foreign aggression. A democratic Iran that rises is a beacon for every people living under theocratic oppression. Each of our victories strengthens the other. Each of our defeats emboldens the same forces. This is why I am calling for a transatlantic coalition, not merely to support Ukraine and not merely to pressure the Islamic Republic, but to confront the Moscow-Tehran axis as the unified strategic threat that it is. This means coordinated sanctions enforcement that does not allow one side of the axis to compensate for pressure on the other. It means arms and intelligence cooperation that recognizes it, that Iranian drone and missile supply chain as a NATO-relevant threat. It means explicit political support for the democratic opposition in Iran, not as a geopolitical gambit, but as a matter of moral and strategic coherence. And it means a clear articulation that when Iran is free, the West is ready to move swiftly with investment, with integration, with a full embrace that the nation rejoining the democratic world deserves. I have been asked whether I am concerned about the Islamic Republic's durability, whether the regime's continued survival should temper expectations. My answer is no. This is what I see. I see a regime that used Hezbollah operatives and Iraqi and Afghan militias to suppress its own people in January. Not because it was strong, because its own security forces could no longer be fully trusted to fire on Iranian citizens. A regime that imports mercenaries to kill its own people is not demonstrating strength. It is confessing to its own collapse from within. I see a military and intelligence establishment whose outer defenses were exposed and degraded. I see an economy in which the currency has fallen from 70 rials to the dollar in 1979 to 1.7 million today. I see a generation of young Iranians, the most educated, the most connected, the most freedom-oriented generation in the country's modern history, who have decided with their lives that this regime has no future. The Islamic Republic is not stronger than it was a year ago. It is hollower. The facade is still standing, but the structure behind it is not. What is required now is not patience with the regime. It is urgency in support of the people rising against it. For this, our strategy is clear. Maximum pressure on the Islamic Republic, maximum support for the Iranian people, maximum defections from within the regime, maximum mobilization of Iranians, and the Iran Prosperity Project. We have made measured progress on each and every one of these, but we have more to do. IPP is a transition framework developed with Iranian experts, jurists, and civil society. An Iran Prosperity Project with 3 phases: emergency, establishment, and normalization, designed to ensure that when the regime falls, Iran does not fall into chaos, but rises into order. A transitional justice program to ensure we move forward, not with vengeance, but with accountability. An economic recovery package ready to be implemented. A diplomatic posture ready to normalize relations with the West, with Iran's neighbors, and build trust with the international community from day one. We are not asking the world to build Iran's future for us. We are asking the world to recognize that we are ready and capable of building it ourselves. And that standing with us now is in the strategic interest of every nation in this room. We do not need nation building. We are ready to build back our own nation. Let me close with this. 47 years ago, my family was forced to leave Iran. I was 17 years old. I left to train as a military pilot, but never returned home. That was not my choice, while it has never stopped being my country. For 47 years, I have carried the voices of Iranians who could not speak for themselves in the rooms that mattered. I have never stopped believing that Iran would be free. I have never stopped believing that the Iranian people, who gave the world the first declaration of human rights in Cyrus the Great's cylinder, deserve to live with the dignity they themselves defined for civilization. I am not here today to ask for sympathy. I am not here to describe suffering, though the suffering is real and staggering. I am here to make a strategic argument to this strategic audience at this strategic moment. The Moscow-Tehran axis is the defining adversarial alignment of our era. It must be confronted as such, with the same coherence, the same resolve, and the same transatlantic solidarity that define the West's finest hour. Ukraine has held the line at enormous cost. Iran is paying an enormous price to break free. The free world has moral, strategic, and historical reason to stand with both. Do not negotiate with the axis of chaos. Confront it. Do not manage the Islamic Republic. End it. Do not wait for a better moment. This is the moment. I'm not waiting. The people of Iran are not waiting. History is the tale of actions, not contemplations. We are doing our part. Join us. Slava Ukraini, Payande Iran.